Ladies and gentlemen, we will now reconvene our December the 3rd meeting. Madam Clerk, we have no ordinances on final reading. We do have some ordinances on first reading. If you would, 8A.
An ordinance closing and abandoning the unopened right-of-way in the 900 block of Eleanor Street as detailed on the attached maps, subject to certain conditions.
Councilwoman Hill.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to amend this item.
We need to make a motion to approve first, and then we'll amend.
Sorry, I got mixed around with my ones and my twos. I make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second.
Thank you. So I would like to make a motion to amend. I'd like us to approve this, but remove conditions 1 through 4, retaining the language reading, subject to revised plats being submitted to the city in order to consolidate and/or subdivide parcels to avoid creation of any landlocked parcels.
Madam Clerk, do you have all that recorded?
I do.
Okay. All right, that is in the form of a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to amend with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments about the amendment? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, no? All right.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve as amended with a proper second. Questions or comments? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, no? That motion does carry. All right. Moving now to 8B.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 5755 Cassandra Smith Road from R1 residential zone to R3 residential zone for the approval of the portion of the cell tower leased area.
Case number 2024-0069, is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present?
Mr. Chair, I move to withdraw this case. Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to withdraw with a proper second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. That motion does carry, sir. Moving now into resolutions. Council, if there are no objections, I would like to take 9A through E as a package. I see no objections.
Item A, a resolution to confirm the appointment of Heather McClendon to the Head Start Governing Board representing District 6 for a term beginning on December 4, 2024 and ending on December 3, 2026. Item B, a resolution to confirm Mayor Kelly's reappointment of Shush Shantha to the Library Board of Directors for a term beginning on November 16, 2024 and ending on November 15, 2027. Item C, a resolution to confirm Mayor Kelly's appointment of Caitlin Sims to the Stormwater Regulations Board for a term beginning on December 4, 2024 and ending on December 3, 2027. Item D, a resolution to confirm Mayor Kelly's reappointment of Armand Wine to the Community Advisory Committee Region 7 Dotson for a term beginning on November 8, 2024 and ending on November 7, 2027. Item E, a resolution authorizing and approving the award of unallocated American Rescue Plan funds as part of the Chattanooga Relief and Recovery Allocation Plan, and authorizing the mayor as his need to enter into a recipient agreement with Partnership for Families, Children, and Adults, Inc. for the domestic violence shelter for an amount not to exceed $250,000.
All right, before we make a motion, Madam Clerk, we had a discussion earlier today. We want that last sentence to read, for the upgrade of the domestic violence shelter.
Yes.
Just a wording amendment or change under 9E. That's correct.
I have that wording.
All right, council, what is your pleasure?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve 9A through E with a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? All right, the ayes have it. Oh, do we have any appointees here this afternoon? All right, thank you for your service. All right. Moving now to 9, Council, or is there any objections to taking 9F, G, and H together as a package? Or we had some discussion on G earlier. Are we good there? All right.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, let's take 9, I'm sorry, Councilman Smith?
Sorry, it wasn't letting me zoom in. There was an item we were going to have ready to discuss before we vote on it this evening.
Yes, sir, Councilman. We will apply identifying numbers and letters to each one of the scooters, and that'll be written into the policy.
Thank you, sir. I'm good.
We're good? Okay. Madam Clerk, 9F, G, and H together as a package.
Item F, a resolution amending resolution number 32144 by authorizing the office of the city attorney to engage with the following additional attorney for legal and lobbying services. Number 18, Philip M. Meyer, second, for the period of November 27, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Item G, a resolution authorizing City of Chattanooga and Bike Chattanooga to enter into an agreement with PBSC Urban Solutions, Inc. as the sole source provider for 30 scooters that are compatible with the Bike Chattanooga docking stations in place as documented in the attached sole source justification form. Item H, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Wastewater to renew the on-call blanket contract number W22006-201 sanitary sewer install and repair blanket contract for wastewater for year 3 of 4 with Tally Construction Company of Rossville, Georgia, for use by all departments for the annual amount of $4,500,000.
All right, council, what's your pleasure? All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve items 9F, G, and H with a proper second. Questions or comments? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving now to tonight's purchases. Ms. Tally.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
We have 6 purchases recommended for approval this evening. The first one is for street maintenance. This is a one-time purchase of de-icing salt with Compass Minerals America. This purchase is in the amount of $65,865, utilizing the state of Tennessee contract. Number 2 is for street maintenance. They're requesting an increase of $32,000 with Big Woody's tree service due to higher usage than expected. The new estimated annual spend will be $607,000. Number 3 is for the fire department. This is a one-time purchase for screening for cancer and disease assessments for illnesses with NDS radiology in the amount of $119,700 as the best bid meeting specifications. Number 4 is for the fire department. This is a new 4-year agreement for firefighters' protective gear with Siddons Martin Emergency Group in the amount of $900,000 annually, utilizing a Sourcewell contract. Number 5 is for wastewater. This is a 3-year renewal. H&H Brown requested an 11.21 increase due to wage and benefit increases. The new estimated spend will be $1,668,150. Wastewater has approved this increase. Number 6 is for Parks and Outdoors. This is a one-time purchase of synthetic turf with AstroTurf Corporation for Warner Park. This purchase is in the amount of $1,768,165, utilizing the Sourcewell contract.
All right, council, what is your pleasure? We have a motion on the floor with a proper second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, moving now to committee reports. Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilwoman Knoll.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Smith.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Ledford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Planning and Zoning did meet today. I want to also notice our public hearing on December 10th regarding the equivalency mapping and also the zoning code amendments identified in the equivalency mapping process.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hester?
No report, sir.
All right, Madam Vice Chair.
We have an Affordable Housing Committee meeting next week. We will be discussing missing middle housing progress. Chattanooga has been awarded nationally for work that has been done in that space.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, that concludes committee reports. Now, other business. We do have an announcement of a donation to the fire department. Chief, who's gonna make that? I thought maybe the fire department was here. The president of the neighborhood association had to leave.
I will get more specifics, but the fire department wanted to announce that they received a $600 donation to the fire department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Attorney, I think you have a couple of settlement announcements.
Yes, sir. Just wanting to announce for the record at this point in time that the dispute between Reeves Young LLC versus the City of Chattanooga that's filed in Circuit Court, case number 24C-107, has been resolved at this point in time, and all matters out of that are in dispute between the parties regarding the DuPont pump station and basin improvements have been resolved based upon that settlement. The second case is a case that is a dispute between the city and J. Cumbie Construction Company and Jacobs Engineering Group, filed in the Chancery Court for Hamilton County on January the 17th, 2023, which is docket number 23-0028, has been resolved as to any claims as to the city as well.
All right, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, now we come to the time on our agenda that we recognize persons wishing to address the council this evening. Do we have anybody in the audience this afternoon, okay, that would like to address the council? I'm going to ask the attorney to read our rules to engage, and if you would, make your way to the podium, please.
Yes, sir. At the end of each council business meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council, and here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council can only be recognized at the microphone up front for that purpose. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak, and you can address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority and not upon matters which are not under their authority or regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. Don't engage in any vulgar or obscene language, nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and address your comments to the council as a whole, not towards individual council members. And lastly, do not engage in disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited by Tennessee law, and someone commits that offense if a person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting or gathering. Having stated those rules, please go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ben Turner. I am a resident of Southside Square. It's about a mile from here, 19th and Reed area. Wife and I took residence there about 1.5 years ago, and one of the unique features about our community, there's about 58 units, and I'm unofficially speaking on behalf of the entire community there, is we have automatic fire sprinklers that required the installation of 1-inch water meters, which one unique thing about Chattanooga that we're not crazy about is that has impacted all of us with over $200 a month combined water and sewer bills. Now that's if we never open a tap, we don't flush a toilet, that is the absolute minimum we'll pay. I've had conversations with Deputy Fire Marshal Michael Wright, Tennessee American Water, conversations with Chattanooga Wastewater to try to find out if there's any resolution on the books for this. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything. Here to ask the council if, first of all, if you're aware of it, and second of all, if there's any measures in place to address this. It's my understanding from conversations with Michael Wright that there's as many as 150 of these systems in use around the city of Chattanooga. Our building was built on IRC 2018. When IRC 2024 is adopted, it actually mandates this type of sprinkler system in all new single-family construction. So this issue isn't going to go away. I'm just kind of curious if it's made your attention yet and if anybody's working on it.
Chris? I don't know if you was pointing to somebody else or not, but I'm curious on a couple of items.
Yes, sir.
One, the amount that they're charged regardless of whether they use any water at all. But the second thing, to confirm if all single-family dwellings, is that something that they're all going to be required to have?
Chairman, I'll be honest, this is all news to me, and we've not adopted the 2024 IRC. So I'll speak to Mr. Turner after the meeting, if that's all right, collect information and report back to you.
I'd appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Turner, if you just get with Chris after the meeting.
Will do, thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Good evening, City Council. My name is Tiffany Rankins, Lincoln Park. It has been a long time since I've been able to attend, and the reason is because you guys' hours flip-flop so much. I would like to make a recommendation that the latest hours be put back to 6 p.m. since I am a working person and don't get off till 4:30. I also like to thank Councilwoman Coonrod for coming to Lincoln Park's last reunion. I heard she was there. I did not see her, but I heard she was there. My recommendation is the last city council meeting be put back for 6 p.m. for those that are working. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for having me. My name is Holly Newton, and I am a local wife, mother, and psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I am also the direct neighbor of Hickson Elementary School. 2 months ago, I reported a zoning issue with the halfway house that happens to reside next door to our home. This complaint was made after a disgruntled member of the halfway house trespassed into our garage as I was working out. He began screaming and yelling at me, demanding that I buy him a bus ticket to another halfway house in Nashville. After that incident occurred, Zach Wiley from the zoning department stated that he had contacted the residents at the halfway house and a working case with OpenGov was initiated. 1 month later, that ticket was closed and no action was taken. Fast forward to November 22nd at 7:33 in the morning, and a shooting occurred just outside of our neighborhood for the first time. A silver Jeep was sitting by our neighbor's home directly across the street for over an hour. The person inside of the Jeep was waiting on an individual that resides inside of the halfway house next door. The neighbor in the halfway house next door works at Walmart, and that person was waiting on him to walk to work that morning. As soon as the neighbor began walking to Walmart, he shot him right in front of the elementary school and injuring his leg. The neighbors next door are a halfway house under the business name Oxford House Fieri. There are 28 Oxford houses in Hamilton County, all which operate under a business name. They are not approved by the Tennessee Department of Corrections. They are not approved for individuals on parole because it is run by other offenders. This property is residentially zoned for single-family residences, and since August, there have been notable 911 calls to the home for an overdose and other psychiatric emergencies. The Oxford House's mission states that it is to provide a safe, affordable living environment that is supportive to individuals in recovery from addiction. They're eligible to live there as long as they have completed a medical detox program of any kind. However, we know recovery is lifelong and relapses do occur often. According to the National Institute of Health, relapse rates vary by the person's drug of choice, but are reported to be anywhere from 40 to 75% after leaving a rehab program, that is. Substance use disorders and bipolar I disorder often co-occur anywhere from 40 to 60% of cases. For individuals with bipolar I disorder, the incidence of psychosis is significant at 52.7%. The individual who was shot that morning suffers from hallucinations, suicidal thoughts, and paranoia as well, and is not receiving treatment. One other substantial issue is the safety of our children in the neighborhood, as we have 51 homes and over 60 children in our neighborhood. 4 minutes before the shooting occurred, children were seen on our Ring cameras walking to school just as they do every morning. Another compounding issue is that because they operate via a business name, we do not know if these individuals are sex offenders or felons. I'm sorry.
Hold on one second. Your time has expired, but I'm going to call on Councilman Smith. You got,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Newton, are you almost done? We try to
Yes.
follow the rules for everybody, so I
Yes.
just want to make sure that, okay. So I've had a conversation about this, and each of you is probably, you should have received a handout about the calls for service at this particular address. Some of them being suicide threats of the such is obviously concerning for some of the neighbors. Mr. Attorney, you were also looking into whether or not they are licensed appropriately for where they are at, and I didn't know if maybe you had an update you could share with Ms. Newton at this time.
Yes, sir. We at least checked with the Secretary of State today here regarding Oxford House, and they are a registered Delaware corporation at this point in time. They are considered to be a non-profit corporation here in Tennessee, and they have a perpetual existence. Their registered agent is a group called Corporation Service Company out of Nashville here, and they file an annual report each year, but I do not know at this point in time whether they are or are not considered a nonprofit entity here under our law. And if they're operated on a commercial basis, there's things that we need to look at in that regard. Under Tennessee law, there are provisions for residential homes for the disabled here that might qualify for someone who has some sort of mental issues here or drug dependency type issues in the past too. So we've got to look at that regarding whether they are appropriate or not. And we are definitely looking into it, ma'am.
May I just add that
Yes.
the entrance to the halfway house, to the entrance to the school, the distance is 325 feet, and they are less than 1,000 feet from the front door of the school as well.
And there are requirements under state law for people that might be sex offenders having to register in that regard and should be able to know where they are if they are anyone that are convicted folks that are sex offenders. So I believe there's a website where you can actually track that, but I will have to find that information for you. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Councilman Ledford, or Councilman Smith, are you?
Yeah,
good?
I'm done. I was just going to say I'm happy to follow up with you as soon as I get further information from the City Attorney's Office.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Councilman Ledford?
Yes, thank you for bringing that to our attention, number one. Number two, who has oversight of such?
You talking about as far as enforcement?
Well, who makes sure they're operating within the parameters of their?
That would be our codes enforcement, correct?
No, I meant the actual house, like any of the.
Well, any entity that is operating as a house here for the state of Tennessee to have people go to in that regard would have to report directly to the state. I will find the location of who actually.
I would love to know who at the state has oversight.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
There you go.
So it's a correctional facility in that regard. It's a release from a correctional facility to that location. So there should be some oversight. I will
Very
check.
good. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And may I just add that, I apologize, may I just add that they are a peer-based program. They're a level 1 program is what it is essentially called. And the oversight that they do have is another peer at the house who is also working 40 hours plus a week that is not consistently at the home.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Chair, thank you. Yes, I was going to add what she just spoke about, and with the Oxford House, a lot of the times they're not coming from a prison institution or anything like that, so they're not under the model of the Department of Corrections or the Federal Department of Corrections, or like they have stipulations. If you're doing federal prison, more than likely you'll go to a halfway house that's already contracted with the Federal Bureau of Prison, like the Salvation Army. Or if you're coming from the state, you'll go like Mr. Alfred Johnson with his house that people will go to. But with the Oxford House, they operate with a limited amount of people. So if you have less than 10 people, that's like shared housing. Like you don't have to go through a process of anything like that. It's just like if I have a house and I say, okay, I'm going to rent out rooms and spaces, but you can come up, create your own rules and say, okay, you're going to pay this amount. You have to continue to live sober. You have to go through these programs and different things like that, in which they pay to stay there. And so they run these addiction houses, and it's not just with Oxford House, it's all kind of considered halfway houses under this same model that's throughout the city. I just went through this in District 9, a house on Chamberlain that we went through, even getting the state representatives involved to say, hey, can you look at this law? Can you change it? And because they was operating under 10 people, 10 or less people, they was like, it was nothing that we could do, or city. We even got the city codes and everybody else involved in it, like, hey, take a look at this. But community members are saying, you know, they don't want this model in their community. But I'm always be an advocate for criminal justice reform, and I think that we get both of them mixed up, right? And so we have the sober living housing, and then we have those who are just as impacted. We have those houses too. Right, so it's two different things, but the ones that are actually coming from a penal institution, they have to go through a vetting process with that, so that can kind of help with the difference. Anybody can create a sober living home.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. There's a specific state statute that protects, and it normally says 8 people or less and up to 3 caregivers that can be in there, and that is under TCA 1324-101. So that's what we have to comply with, because it removes the zoning power from the cities in certain matters.
Councilwoman Reverse?
Yeah, so I've had to deal with this several times. I think and I'm going back to the legislative intent, the individual halfway houses, as my colleague said, that help people heal are good places. I don't see this Delaware conglomerate coming in with 28 houses. It's a corporation making money, and they're not only here, they're all over the country. They're no longer a Tennessee corporation. And it would seem to me that if we dug deep enough, we would see a difference between them. Anybody can declare themselves a nonprofit corporation. That's a tax status. It's whatever you do with the money at the end. And I think that we need to look seriously at this particular company throughout the city, because it's a little different than what my colleague is talking about with the individual one-on-one. And I get the state intent, but I think the legislative intent, I think they're skirting the intent of the law. I've had several in my district. We've tried to talk to people in charge. They never answer the phone. It's like a bunch of shell corporations. And I think we should take this very seriously. This may be an extreme example, and I apologize that you've had to deal with that. But how many examples of the 28 across the city do we have that people have tried to get help for but have been told the state law allows for it? I don't know. And I think we need to look at each one of these places and find out, not on a witch hunt, but on the safety for our community, and to make sure they're getting quality service that was contemplated. But this is not what she's talking about. This is a Delaware corporation coming in, cashing in, and I'm wondering if they meet the intent of the original legislation. Just something to think about.
And we will look into it, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else that would like to address the council this afternoon? Council, I am not seeing anyone else. What is your pleasure? So moved. We're adjourned.